Hello and welcome back to my Dandelion Diaries for another ink swatching video. I'm so excited. So I mentioned this in one of my flip through videos I just did recently that I wanted to share this lovely ink swap I did with Fara over in the Netherlands. She was kind enough to send me a few of her Krishna inks, samples of her Krishna inks, and also some samples of the Robert Oster exclusives from the Dutch Pen show over there for the past 5 years, which is really cool. And she also sent me a bunch of like these little bits and bobs, and this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be so much fun. So supplies, this is my 𝗬𝗃𝗍 blank A5 notebook here with the Sanzen 𝗤𝗏 paper. I've had no issues with this one so far, and I'm really happy about it. For pen, I'm going to be using my Sailor Hokoro dip pen with the Fude nib on it. I have my little pipette here, jars of water, t-shirt, and these sample vials, or sample vials are a little bit bigger, so they're not going to fit in my normal holder, which is okay. So I'm just going to use this roll of the little sticker tapes that I use to hold the sample so it doesn't fall over. But yeah, let's just get started. I'm going to do the Krishna inks first. Also, caveat, I am still mildly sick, so I apologize for my voice in this video. It's probably going to be a little bit different than my normal voice. Anyways, first ink here is Krishna's Brown Pink. Okay, surprisingly, this color is not at all what I was expecting. Typically, brown pinks to me are a bit more of like a mauvey taupey color, and this one is definitely a bit more orange than I anticipated, but I like it. Flow-wise, I can't really tell if it's super wet or dry. It feels kind of medium. With ink swatching and just a dip nib, it's not always the easiest to kind of gauge how inks behave, but the other Krishna ink that I've tried was really nice. So I would assume these ones are going to follow very similarly in terms of like consistency. But color-wise, the shading on this is beautiful. It goes almost to like a reddy orange brown to a lighter, almost like a mahogany maple syrupy kind of color. I like it. The shading is really good, and then it looks like it's gonna have a very slight green sheen. I can't really tell since it's still wet, but I like it so far. Really great color, and it's brown, and I'm digging the browns, of course. Okay, the next one is Krishna's, and I think it's Sindhoor. I may butcher some of the pronunciations on these, so just bear with me. And holy orange, whoa! This is very bright. I was not expecting it to be this bright. This is gorgeous. It's almost like a neon orange coral-y color. It does have a bit of a pink lean to it. I can't tell if there's any shading yet, but it's beautiful color-wise. This is very vibrant, very bright. Perfect summer color in my opinion. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Pilot Iroshizuku's Fuyugaki, which is one of my favorite inks from that line. And it's also kind of similar to, I want to say it's 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 but I think 𝗄𝗏𝗏 is a bit more pink than this. It's beautiful though. A nice kind of corally orange color, very bright, very just punchy, really great. I don't really have much else to say about this one. It's just a really nice bright orange color. Nothing else is really kind of coming to my mind in terms of this one, but it's really nice. Okay, next up we have the third Krishna ink, and this is Azalea Flora. And this is a lovely deep pink color. Wow. It already looks like it's going to have a little bit of shading, which is exciting. And I must say the consistency of this one feels a lot more wet than the last two. Could just be this one-time shot with the dip pen, but this one definitely felt a bit more lubricated. Color-wise, this is beautiful. I feel like this would look really good in the 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 punch. I don't know why that's like screaming to me. I don't even own that pen. I also think this would look good maybe if you had like the Bennu Rose Tea. This is a very great February color. It's nice and bright pink and deep, and has, I don't know, a nice floral aspect to it. I feel like it's very well named. It is kind of the same color of an azalea flower if you get like a pink one. Yeah, really nice. Great consistency flow-wise, at least with this little swatch here. I'm excited to use this one. I don't know what month I would put this in, probably in the spring. Okay, next up we have the fourth Krishna ink, and this is Overcast Deep Lila. And this is a gorgeous deep purple color. I don't know how well the color is going to come off on camera, but to me this does seem a bit more blue-violet. Not quite blurple or anything like that. It's definitely firmly purple, but it has a bit of a blue lean to it. Also looks like it might have a small amount of shading with this one too. And flow-wise, this behaved very similar to the Azalea Flora. Really great, beautiful purple color. I honestly kind of like the name. I'm not sure what the Overcast has to do with this, but to me this is almost a deep lilac color. If it was slightly more pink, I think it'd be even more lilac-y, but it's definitely a nice deep purple with a slight blue undertone. Really excited to see how this one dries down because I find that certain purples, when they're wet, do not look the same as when they dry down. I've had that experience with quite a few purples, so this one will be interesting to see what it looks like in about 20 minutes. Okay, and then she sent me another purple Krishna ink, and this one's called Orchids. And this purple is beautiful, just like the Overcast Deep Lila. This one has a bit stronger blue pull to me, actually, and it is a much more vibrant looking. Like, it has a bit more of a neon-esque kind of quality. Not quite that it is like neon, but it definitely has a bit more of a brighter tone. Really nice. I'm kind of interested to see how these two dry next to each other since they're both very similar purples. Definitely think the Overcast Deep Lila is not as blue as the Krishna Orchids. I don't know. They're really close together on camera, and in person they look very different. So I don't know how well my camera's going to pick these two up, but they're on the page at least. And the last Krishna ink she sent me is Krishna's Mellow Blue. And what a great mellow blue color it is. Definitely more of a softer toned bright blue. I don't want to consider it bright blue, but it is a brighter blue, but it has a very good cashmere, soft, velvety-like look to it. I do think this behaved absolutely phenomenal with this dip pen. I honestly am excited to put this in a pen because I feel like blue inks, there's a million of them, right? But how many of them actually behave really well? Like, if we really want to narrow down a good blue, we need it to behave well, pigment to show up, and it to have just like a great blue color. And maybe this one will be one of the greats. I don't know. But I really like this blue color. It's beautiful. Nice kind of medium toned blue with a slight purple lean. It's really pretty. This is a great blue ink already, and I'm not a huge fan of blues. Okay, before I move into the Robert Oster Dutch Pen Show inks, she also sent me a couple of other inks, and this one I'm really excited to swatch, and I may have swatched it before. I did not reference my ink spreadsheet, but this is Inkebara Dandelion, and I already love it because it has dandelion in the name, and it's a yellow, so I'm excited to see how well this does in terms of yellow. And I really do think I may have swatched it before, but if I haven't, I'm excited to have it now because it's a yellow ink named Dandelion, and that just is, it's perfect. It's already perfect. Okay, I love it already. I know the name is just perfect, but the color is a beautiful, true yellow. It looks like it has a little bit of shading with it. Only downside for me, I think this yellow is a bit too light to really consider it to be a legible writing yellow ink. But I think this would be perfect for any kind of ink painting or ink drawing that you like to do. I can definitely see myself using this to draw dandelions. So I will probably be using it for that. But I really do like the color. It is a bit more of a softer yellow, and it does seem to have a really nice, a little bit of shading showing up. So I'm excited to see how it looks completely dry. But beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, nice yellow ink to round out this bright ink page over here on the left. So for the Robert Oster Dutch Pen Show inks, she sent me all the way back from 2020. So I'm going to go in order of year from 2020 to 2024. And this one is 2020s, and this is Dutch Peach. Man, what a great peachy color. Looking at this, I see Krishna Sindhoor on the other page, and I can't help but feel like they're very similar, which is kind of cool. I think the Sindhoor is definitely much darker, much more of a red-orange coral. Red-orange coral peach now. And then Robert Oster's Dutch Peach is definitely a great peachy color. Honestly, reminds me a lot of the Ranger peaches we get here in Texas, which are my favorite, and I I don't know, I really have a craving for one of those right now after seeing this ink. This is beautiful. It looks like it has a slight amount of shading, just haloing around the letters already. I'm excited to see how this one dries. I think this would look really pretty with just a smattering of pink shimmer in it. So I may play around with some of my shimmer stuff and make it shimmery too. I don't know. But really light, really nice peachy color. Then for the 2021 Dutch Pen Show Robert Oster exclusive, I believe this is Bruijn ink. I'm not great at Dutch pronunciations. I'm trying, but I'm pretty sure it's Bruijn. I don't know. Okay, what a great chocolatey brown color. This has almost a pink undertone to the brown, which is really nice. And the shading in it is already showing up pretty decently, which I'm excited to see fully dry what we get. But lovely, nice milk chocolate, almost like a, I don't know, a latte, like a not a super creamy latte kind of look to it. I don't know. I really like this one. I need to learn how to pronounce it so I can say correctly. And I definitely think I would use this in the fall because this is a great, nice, you know, dead leaf kind of brown color too. Really, really pretty. Then for Dutch Pen Show 2022, the Robert Oster exclusive ink was called Summer Sky, and this looks like it's going to be a really nice kind of sky blue color. Maybe very appropriately named. We'll see. Definitely a great summer sky blue color. This is beautiful. It's so bright. Going down wet, it looks very, very bright. So I'm excited to see if it holds that same brightness as it dries, because I don't know. I have a few like sky blue inks, and I want to say there's one by, I think it's 𝗄𝗃𝗃, that another pen friend sent that is very similar in color to this. But this is beautiful and very bright, and it does look like it's going to have some decent shading. Already, I could say that this one is pretty legible just because of how bright it is for a lighter blue ink, which is also really exciting because I feel like when light blue inks like sky blue inks are too washed out, they're really illegible. So this is kind of nice to see, and I don't know, I already really like it, even though it's a nice bright blue color. Then we have Dutch Pen Show 2023, and this is the only shimmer one that she sent, and this one is called Tulip Fields. It looks to be kind of like a maybe grassy green color with some goldish shimmer, so let's give it a good old swatch. I already love this one, which is no surprise if you've been following this channel for a while. This is gorgeous. It is definitely a nice grassy summer green color in the base, and the shimmer on this is a lovely kind of fine gold. The shimmer doesn't seem as coarse as some of the other Robert Oster shimmer inks that I love, so I don't know if maybe that's just unique to this one or maybe just the sample. I don't know, but it's definitely a nice, great toned shimmer with this kind of warmer grassy green base. Reminds me a lot of one of the recent inks that came out from Diamine Inkvent, from the Black Inkvent, and that is Pine Needle. I believe that one was Chameleon though, so I think that one had gold and greenish shimmer in it. But this is really, really pretty. I'm excited to put this one in a pen maybe in March. I don't know. I have so many green inks that I want to use in March, which again, no surprise. But this one's really nice. I really like this one. Great shimmer for a great base color too. And then the last Dutch Pen Show exclusive she sent me, this one is the 2024 ink, and this one's called Sugar Rush. What another great February deep pink ink. This honestly would match my theme for February very well, which I will have a currently inked video coming soon. But this pink is fantastic. Comparing it to the other deep pink we have on here, the Krishna's Azalea Flora, Sugar Rush is a bit brighter and also a bit more on the pink side. I feel like Azalea Flora leans a little bit more purple, has a bit more of like a fuchsia-y look to it, and not quite magenta, but more fuchsia. But Sugar Rush is definitely a nice deeper pink. And it does look like it's going to have slight amounts of haloing on the letters, maybe slight amount of shading. Nothing's pulling through super strong yet, but again, ink is still wet, so we'll wait. But I really like this color. I do want to mention that when I opened this sample, it did have a bit of a scent. My Scentil Factory is not doing the best right now considering I'm still recovering from my cold flu situation, but I could smell a little bit of like a just dye smell, very similar to some of the blue inks I have, has a similar dye like smell. I don't think it's anything wrong with the sample. I just wanted to mention that the ink might have a similar scent to you if you have this ink. Just want to, you know, mention any kind of things that I experience in case anybody searches for this and is surprised. But yeah, really pretty color. Just wanted to mention the very small kind of dye scent that this had. And on that note, the last ink she sent me is a scented ink, and this is by KWZ. It's called It Smells Like Coffee. I have actually never sampled this ink. I have had it on my to sample list for a very, very, very long time, and I'm really excited to swatch it out because I've been told several times that this ink would be perfect for my 𝗦𝘃𝗽𝘆 iced caramel latte, which let me just pull the pen out. This pen. So maybe we'll get to see if this is a really great match for this pen or not, because a coffee pen with a coffee ink just makes sense to me. But enough dallying, let's just swatch it. Okay, wow. This does smell like coffee. KWZ inks are known for having a bit more of like a vanilla scent to their inks, or even like a sweeter smell. So not surprising to me that, you know, the ink has a scent, but it does smell like a nice cup of sweet coffee to me. I actually kind of like it. Again, my nasal factory is not in full working order, so I can't really say how strong the smell is, but it is definitely there. So if you're not a fan of scented inks, probably stay away from this one. Color-wise, this is a beautiful brown. The shading in it looks fantastic already, and it's not even fully dry. It flowed beautifully, which is very common with KWZ inks for me personally, and the color of this is just a nice kind of flat brown with a slight orange, slight yellow kind of look to it. Really, really nice. Comparing it to the other brown I have here, the Robert Oster, I'm just going to say brown ink because I really don't think I can pronounce that word correctly. It's definitely much more yellow. The brown ink by Robert Oster pulls much more orange, and even more orange is the brown pink over on the other page with the Krishna inks. But It Smells Like Coffee is beautiful. I really like this color, and just to compare it to the pen, I'm gonna just, you know, kind of do that really quick. Okay, so comparison-wise for pen matching, I do think this ink would look absolutely stunning with this pen. To all of my commenters and viewers who mentioned this, you're right. I'm going to ink this up at some point. I definitely think this would be really great pairing together. So thank you. Thank you for suggesting, and thank you, Fara, for sending. I love it already. On that note, I'm going to let everything dry here, or finish drying. Everything's still slightly wet on both pages. I'm going to come back probably in about 20 minutes. I don't know. We'll check on it and see how it's going then. And then at that time, I will do close-ups of all of these, and we'll describe a bit more of like the shading and the tiny bits of sheen that I see popping through on some of these inks, which is kind of exciting. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, I am back. It has been maybe 20 minutes. I honestly didn't time myself. I went and did the dishes and I came back. Anyways, not everything is super dry, but I want to go ahead and zoom in and we'll go over the inks themselves. So starting off here, we had Krishna's brown pink. I love the way this dried down. So it has this little bit of like rusty looking shading to it with this green haloing sheen. I would be really interested to see how well the sheen shows up in writing, because I feel like these two colors together just match beautifully. And that might be because I'm still obsessed with Sleigh Ride right now, which was a red ink with green sheen. I don't know, but yeah, I'm definitely a fan of this one for sure. Krishna's Sindhoor dried beautifully as well. You can see a little bit more of that darker, more reddy orange shading here, with the base color still being more of that like orangey coral. Really pretty. I love how bright this stayed too. This stayed beautifully bright in that it is still a bit more of a neon color, not neon in the sense that it is neon, but it has that brightness to it, that bright quality. Then we had Krishna's Azalea Flora. Kind of hard to see, but there's little bits of red kind of pulling through in the pooled spots from the ink. Makes me think that in a really nice calligraphy writing with this ink, you'd get really beautiful red to kind of deep pink shading. Not really super sheeny happening, but there is a very small, looks like to be a brown color sheen on the halo of some of the pooled spots. I don't think it would sheen anywhere else. There's not enough coming through for me to think that it would do anything in writing. Then we had Krishna's Overcast Deep Lila. This one did sheen slightly. It's still a little bit wet up here, but it has this kind of, I don't know, like lime green colored sheen thing going on. It's really pretty. Reminds me a lot of 𝗦𝘃𝗽𝗍𝗍 Azurite actually, but not as bright. This ink did kind of soften as it dried down. It definitely has a bit more of a velvety look to it. I like it though. I'd be again interested to see how the sheen would do in writing with this one too. Really, really pretty. And then the other purple we had here was Krishna's Orchid, and I think next to each other they look very similar, but I was happy to see that Krishna's Orchid pulls much brighter, so it kept its brightness versus the Overcast Deep Lila kind of softened. So really happy to see that the orchid stayed bright. It did dry a bit more blue, so on camera it's looking very blue, but in person it's a bit more of like a purple, definitely blue violet, and it also has this kind of yellowy chartreusey colored sheen with it as well. I again would love to put these two in a pen and see how they do with the sheen. Then we had Krishna's Mellow Blue here in the center. Still think Mellow Blue is a great name for this. It's definitely a nice softer blue. It does have what looks to be a bit more of a darker shading to a washed out area, and it has very small sheen going around the haloed spots, like haloing around the pooled areas. The color of the sheen, it looks almost like a orangey brown, maybe a red brown. Kind of hard to tell. It's very, very minor. I think you would only get the sheen kind of around the edges of the letters. I don't think you would get anything else. Then we had Inkebara Dandelion. I love it. As it dried, it darkened quite a bit. I think in a very broad nib, maybe even a stub, you might be able to get some legibility with it, but I'm ultimately just excited to play with it in painting and drawing because I love a good shading yellow, and this one definitely did a good job with some shading. It almost has a bit more of a orangey kind of shade to it here in the middle bits, but it's not quite orange enough to be yellow orange. This is definitely firmly yellow, and the shading is just really nice. I don't think it's legible in writing for me, again, unless I use something like a super broad or a stubby. Then we move into the Dutch Pen Show inks from Rubber Oster. So this is 2020, the Dutch Peach. I really like how bright and peachy this is. It still reminds me a lot of the Ranger peaches here in Texas, but it also reminds me of the candy peach rings, if anybody's ever had those. I don't know why, but I feel like peach is such a perfect name for this ink. I don't know. Then we had Robert Oster's Bruijn. Again, I'm probably butchering that, but I love the shading that this had go down. I accidentally dropped a drop of water over here, so this is like not accurate to the true color of the ink, but you can see the kind of chromatography, I think is what it's called, happening here. So it has bits of red and bits of gray even, and that's definitely what I'm seeing here in the like more pooled shading area, is that it does have a slight kind of gray pull to it. Still reminds me a lot of milk chocolate. Maybe I'm just hungry while I'm filming this. Maybe I should go eat something. I don't know. But this is really pretty and nice, softer brown color. Then we had the 2022, which is Summer Sky, a lovely sky blue color. It does stay bright. I was really happy to see that. It is fully dry all the way across, and it stayed very bright the whole way. So like to see that, and I love the little bits of shading that it has from this kind of more washed out to a deeper baby blue, and even the little bits of like more dark blue haloing that it has. Really, really pretty. I think this is a perfect summer ink. Honestly, these three up here are giving my summer palette already. I'm ready for it. Then we had the 2023 Tulip Fields, the only shimmer ink today, and you can see that lovely kind of gold shimmer popping through with that grassy green background. Really does remind me a lot of the Diamond Pine Needle that I recently swatched for the ink vent. Really pretty. I would be interested to see how this shimmer behaves in a pen, because it did seem much finer than the typical Robert Oster shimmers that I'm used to. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Then we had the last Dutch Pen Show ink here, and this is the 2024 Sugar Rush. Really pretty, bright, deep pink color. I do like the kind of minor shading that it has from the like it's the same tone, right? I don't even know if I can really consider it shading versus just like ink pooling, but it's really pretty in the colors and how it's very similar in tone. I do like the color of this too, in that it is a bit deeper, a bit darker. I feel like it's, I don't know, not the most legible out of everything on the page, but I do feel like this one would be very, very legible in terms of a darker pink ink. Then we had the last ink here, which was 𝗂𝗶𝘁's Smells Like Coffee. And just because I want to show you guys how much of a match I really do think it is after y'all's suggestions, this is a great match to the Bennu Euphoria, oh my gosh, caramel latte pen, which is exclusive to Goulet pens. Anyways, the base, the dark brown in the base of this pen, the dark brown resin, definitely has a lot of similar colors to this ink, and I feel like they match very beautifully. The ink itself, though, is beautiful. I cannot believe it has been on my wish list for so long, and I finally was able to try it, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I can't say anything about the smell yet other than it smells like coffee when I smelled it, since I am still kind of sick, so I can't express if it's really strong or not, so I don't know how to describe that other than it smells like coffee for now. I mean, the name is perfect. I do think this shading too, from like this more dark brown to a bit more of like a caramelly brown, is really pretty. I really like this one too. She sent so many good inks. Thank you so much, Fara, if you're watching this. Just great selection of inks overall. Anyways, if I had to pick favorites, I don't know. I feel like brown pink is just calling to me because I really like the green sheen with kind of rusty color right now. And I also really like the orchids down here, that like both Overcast Deep Lila and Orchids. I feel like these are both really similar and both really beautiful. On this side of the page, I mean, anything in this row is just meat, but I also really love the peach and I really love the Sugar Rush. There's so many great choices here. I feel like I have a great bunch of inks here to play with, to kind of test out and play around with color palettes, which is something that I've been really enjoying, honestly. But yeah, I'm definitely happy with all of these inks. And Fara, again, if you're watching this, thank you so much for swapping with me. You sent some really great ones, and I'm really excited to get to play more with the Krishna inks because those have been really, really hard to find for sure. Anyways, I'm going to leave the video off here. If you have any questions about these inks that I didn't really talk about, I guess, while I was watching them, just hit me up in the comments. I'm always happy to chat about inks, especially because the camera isn't always 100% accurate, right? Like it's technology. But I wish you the best. I hope you're having a good week. I hope you're having a good start to your year. I have some more inky videos coming soon. I definitely am excited because I got ink mail, and I'm always excited about ink mail, so definitely will have some more inky videos coming soon. But again, wish you guys the best, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.